Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. The Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show.
I want to get right to someone that I have the utmost respect for, a woman of courage and truth, and one that loves America, and I appreciate this. Sharyl Attkisson is with me. She is an Emmy Award-winning investigative journalist. She spent many years at CBS. As CBS became less strenuous in their reporting, she moved on. And I wanted to talk to Sharyl for a few minutes here about her brand new book, Stonewalled: My Fight for Truth Against the Voice of Obstruction, Intimidation, and Harassment in Obama's Washington. Sharyl, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you being here. You know, and an excellent book, by the way, and I hope, you know, everybody and their mama get a chance to read it with Christmas coming up, Thanksgiving coming up. It's a good gift for the folks. I've seen you in so many interviews and talking about your book and what you went through. I wondered, did this experience change you in any way?
I think, the last couple of years made me feel very, I guess, discouraged at the state of investigative journalism and sort of original reporting in general, and made me determined, I think, primarily not to work in an atmosphere that I didn't feel like for me was an honest one. And the book was an attempt, thinking maybe some people, because in my private life people had expressed interest, maybe some people would like to hear some of the observations and experiences, because people know something's wrong with the news, but they can't always quite put their finger on it.
Right.
Of all political stripes, people will say, why aren't they reporting this story? Or why is this story, they only said this and they never say that? And so I tried to put some clarity to it. And in the book, I try to give people a little information about strategies that are used to manipulate your opinion and keywords to watch for and that sort of thing.
Being on the inside there at CBS and trying to get the truth out about Benghazi and Fast and Furious and others to we the people, were you like, did you feel alone at times? Did you have inside friends there that would not speak up but would privately tell you they understood what you were going through, or were you by yourself?
I wasn't by myself. There was sort of a consensus on different issues within some of us at CBS that would commonly and almost daily lament about the choices being made by the gatekeepers and managers in some cases, and not just on my stories, but in general on original reporting, how the scripts were being changed. It was just so discouraging. But then on the specific stories, when my producer and I would keep pushing because we keep digging up good information and that they no longer wanted the story, it felt a little lonely, but I always had my producer, and I would say, we would look at each other and think, are we crazy? This is such an important story, and we have this development. How can we get them to break through whatever it is and realize that, you know, this is something the public should hear about? So, you know, day in and day out, we would have those conversations together, but at least I had her, my producer, Ken.
Yeah. I have, you know, for the last 24 years, spent a lot of time in the media, know a lot of media people, especially on the conservative side. And I know many who are afraid to report the absolute truth, even on the conservative side, for fear of losing their jobs because the people of the lie, the liberal, will go after them, after their sponsors,
That's right.
advertisers. And so the heads of these companies have told them, you cannot be absolutely honest. You have to somewhat tell the truth, but water it down. So I got the feeling now that the people on the lie have control of the people who are on the side of truth.
I think that's a good way to put it, and that's what I try to expose in the book, because if we all walk around fearful, we allow ourselves to be manipulated. We have to expose it and call it for what it is and try to make our bosses not succumb to this. And the book is one way to do it, and I was able to do it because it doesn't matter if I work anywhere again. If I had to have a job, there's certain things I probably couldn't say.
Yeah.
But I gave up the idea that I had to work and that I was able to walk away and that be it if that was it. But there are sophisticated forces now that manipulate the news and controversialize any reporter and the story that they work on if it goes after the wrong interests or the interests that are paying PR firms to controversialize them and to work with bloggers and to destroy them and destroy whistleblowers on social media, you know, with fake Twitter and Facebook accounts, and to manipulate Wikipedia and to push back with the news managers so it's such a headache. It's a very well-organized campaign, and there's a whole cottage industry in Washington now set up around doing this.
And in your book, your first chapter is called Media Mojo Lost, Investigative Reporting's Recession. Is that, are those the type of things that you're referring to there?
That's right. I mean, I think as this has happened to us, as these strategies have become more entrenched, they've outdone us in the media. We were not prepared for big PR firms that can work social media and push against us in ways that we didn't expect and make life miserable. We're sort of outgunned for that. And we in the media, instead of pushing back and recognizing it for what it is and calling it for what it is, we succumb to it. We say, oh, you know, the managers maybe don't want the headaches, they don't want to be written about, in addition to perhaps some ideological influences and other concerns.
It's mind-blowing to me to see this happening too. I don't know if I remember seeing this type of thing coming. It looked like I just woke up one day and it was there. A lot of Christian businesses are under attack in this way, in that they're being challenged by homosexuals to perform same-sex weddings or bake cakes, and if they don't, they take these businesses to court and literally destroy them. And so in my column on WarNetDaily.com, I've tried to show the people how to deal with this. I would tell the homosexuals, okay, I would bake you a cake. I don't agree with same-sex marriage, but I'm going to take your money and donate it to an organization that's fighting against same-sex marriage. I'm going to use your money against you, because I don't see a real fight on the side, a pushback on the side of the people of the truth. They seem to give in more and give in more and give in more. And if we don't start pushing back, I think it's over for us.
Well, let me talk about what I call an alternate reality that's created by these PR firms of interest in the news media and on social media. They will make it an atmosphere on an issue. And without saying how I feel about a particular issue, let's take gun control or gay marriage or anything that's a controversy.
Right.
They will put out information and propaganda that makes the other side feel as though they're outliers and that there's only one true right position.
Yes.
It's an alternate reality that may not really even reflect the truth or the facts, but it's so pervasive and they know how to get it out in so many places that pretty soon the people who feel opposite of whatever propaganda effort is employed, they kind of think maybe something's wrong with me.
Right.
Maybe I'm the one that's, you know, maybe I'm the only one that's made to make them feel maybe I'm the only one left. Maybe it's just a small group of us. And I think it's very dangerous. And I'll use one example. I haven't covered the Redskins story about the name change. And again, I don't have a position on it.
Right.
But if you look at what the media has said and what's come out in social media by and large, you would think everybody in America agrees it's an offensive name and it should be changed. But then a poll came out, and a poll done by some independent group showed some huge number of Americans, I don't know if it was upwards of 80 or 90%, didn't think the name was offensive,
Right.
including some American Indians, and didn't want the name changed. But that reality is not what you see portrayed in the media. So there's this sort of alternate false reality that propaganda efforts can create.
Wow. Let me take a quick break. I have to say, folks, when you read Sheryl's book, if you don't get up and take action after that, I just don't know what it's going to take, because everything is really laid out. When I come back, I'm going to tell you how to get the book. And we got to start, the people on the side of truth must start fighting the lie. We got to push back. Back in a moment.
And I don't want to hear no lies. Oh, no, no, you can't disguise. Tell me lies, tell me
I have to tell you, I've seen my guest Sharyl Attkisson in so many interviews, and over the years, not just with this brand new book of hers, and I've often wondered what is the driving force behind Sharyl, because she looks so relaxed and she explains things so clear. And a lot of folks can't handle that under this type of pressure. She explained things so clearly, and a lot of folks can't handle this type of pressure, being in the belly of the beast. And I said the next time I get a chance to speak with Sharyl, I'm going to ask her what is her driving force. I mean, because I don't know a lot of folks who can handle what she's have had to deal with over the years. She is an Emmy award-winning investigative journalist, and she spent many years at CBS. Her brand new book, Stonewalled, and I have to tell you folks, if I had the money, I'll buy a copy for everybody on this planet and give it to them. Stonewall, my fight for truth against the forces of obstruction, intimidation, and harassment in Obama's Washington. Sharyl, can you tell the folks, I mean, it's everywhere, but tell them how to get the book and your website if you would like to give it out.
Well, you can go to Amazon or anywhere, and hopefully most bookstores, although some are sold out. And I like that this book is selling well, not just because, for obvious reasons. By the way, I'm donating a portion of the proceeds to the Brechner Center for Freedom of Information, where we're going to try to help young students understand that we own this information the government's keeping from us and that we should be in charge of it.
Yes.
But I think it tells the propagandists, when the book sells well, that their efforts aren't working, because there's been a full-force campaign, some people may have noticed, by propagandists such as Media Matters and their surrogate bloggers and online, this sort of strategy that I talk about in the book, employed against the themes of the book and the stories I do, and me, of course. And the idea that the book sells well tells them it's not working.
Yes.
You know, we're seeing through that. And that's, you know, we went on the New York Times bestseller list last night, and it just made me feel like America, you know, that the Americans out there, they sense something's wrong, and they're seeing through the efforts to manipulate their opinions, and I really, really appreciate and like that.
Well, congratulations for the New York Times. I'm glad, New York Times, I'm glad to hear that. You know, on two other examples is that these folks, they go after Fox News. They go after any person who is willing to stand up for truth. I mean, they go after you, and they go there to destroy you. And it's just amazing to see it. You, other journalists have said this White House is one of the least transparent they have worked with. Do you see it in the same way?
Yes, I mean, I think that's now a consensus, maybe a little bit late in coming, but as you mentioned, journalists from the New York Times, the Washington Post, USA Today have expressed this. Letters have gone to the White House from the Correspondents Association, the Photographers Association, about all the restrictions on the press and the inappropriate ways in which this administration keeps a hold of information and controls the press. But my problem is we waited a long time to draw attention to it, and we're still just sort of writing letters and complaining instead of covering it like the news story that it is and really pushing back. If we got together and told the administration or federal agencies this is not how it works, they couldn't do it.
Yes.
You know, we wouldn't put on their propaganda. We wouldn't put on their guests. But we have to get together to do that, or we really have no leverage.
I don't know if you're a conservative, liberal, Democrat, or Republican, but this last election that we just had last week, and the people, I mean, they spoke out. And what I realized from that, they spoke up. And what I realized from that election, that the American people want help. They want a way out. They want freedom back, you know, freedom of speech, and they want their lives back, but they can't seem to find a leader, if that's what we need. I don't know if we need a leader, but someone to really stand up and bring back America as we know her.
Well, and I think that even when, you know, it doesn't matter which party has been in charge to some degree in the last 2 years. As a reporter, when you face obstacles covering the news,
yes,
and a new administration comes in, you think, okay, this one, maybe this will be better, maybe things will change. I have to tell you that we think now, a lot of reporters, things are very much the same under both kinds of parties and both administrations. There's sort of this tendency to want to get along and not go too far, and not, almost like the press feels sometimes too, not create too many controversies. You don't want the pushback. It's too much trouble. And I also talk in the book about ways in which politicians have been co-opted by special and paid interests. You know, the watchdog groups in Congress that are supposed to watch over certain issues and industries now collect money and campaign donations from the very industries that they're supposed to watch over, so that they don't watch over them in a certain way. So they're, in some twisted arrangement, they're serving their interests instead of our interests now.
My final question for you today is, what's your driving force? Were you raised to be of courage like this, or is it something you picked up along the way? Because you look so calm and collective in your interviews. You just speak the truth. What is the driving force behind you? And have you always been this way?
I feel like, I mean, I've made mistakes like anybody else, but at the bottom, at my heart, I feel like I'm a logician and a truth teller. I mean, I think that speaking the truth, when you have that behind you, you have a confidence. You're not making anything up. You don't have to get your story straight. It's harder working in a circumstance like I did the last couple of years at CBS News to work in a condition when you feel like your stories are being skewed and the facts are not being told in a correct way. That'll make you crumble. That's the worst kind of thing.
Right.
I'm not in that position anymore, and it feels wonderful to be able to just go out and, you know, write stories and they come out the way they come out, that nobody's, you know, skewing them. It was a bad couple of years there, and I think now I have the confidence of being able to say what I really think and maybe expose some of what was going on, and it's a good place to be.
Well, you definitely are a logical person. I love speaking with you, and I love seeing you in interviews. Mark Twain said, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything, and you are that type of person. I appreciate you, and it's just nice to know that you're there. I appreciate what you're doing.
Well, it's nice of you to have me. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day. Do you want to give out a website or anything?
Well, they can Google SharylAttkisson.com, and even if you misspell it, after the propaganda websites that criticize me, you'll find mine.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, you can look, and I try to cross-reference my stories on that site wherever they appear.
Well, thank you so much, and happy Thanksgiving to you, all right?
Thank you. Take care.
All right now. An amazing woman, logical, as she said. And she's absolutely right. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything else. Let's go to the Bible Go-To guy out of Los Angeles. Bible Go-To guy, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Jesse. Yeah, I wanted to speak to your guest because she and you's brainstorming has given me an idea that, you know, for a slogan, a campaign. I think that you hit on the button a while back when you said it's fun to fight.
Yeah.
And Americans have lost that fun to fight type of attitude, and they see it as a big, you know, oh, I'm scared, I'm timid. We got to have a fun to fight T-shirt.
That is such a good point. Hold on for a minute. Let me take a quick break. I just want to respond to that. Back in a moment.
I'm alive, I'm my head, don't wanna think about it. Feels like I'm going